Good morning, my dear students. How are you? Welcome to the new session of your lectures. That is, I am with you, Dr. Lata Sharma, with the great regard of all the students and saying the best of luck for all of the competitive exams and all of the exams that you will do some good for your future. And now we are starting with a new topic that is related to VPSC 134. This is India introduction of international relations of India and China. As my dear students, are you aware that all of the relations that is related to Indian scenario and Indian geographical scenario, this is all about that what type of relations we have to all of the countries. As usually, we have not a good record related to the India-China relations. But as on the circumstances and all of the contents that we have deal with the China, however, we have to say that we have made many efficient plays and roles that can be beneficial to the friendship of India and China relations. But however, and in the last, we have got not a little bit, we can say a little bit satisfactory hands by the China. So this is now we are starting here. This is Dr. Lata Sharma. Now I am with you with a new topic that is India and China relations. Good morning and good morning all of you. Now we are starting. As we are going to start a new introduction that is related to India and China. India and China are two big countries, not only of Asia but also of the world. As you are aware, India is a good, we can say, big country, and China is also. There are two neighboring countries, and both have also preserved their 5,000 years old culture. As because of we have the same preserved 500 years old culture. So there is a statement that they are agricultural countries and a great majority of population is rural. The lakes of villages spread all over the country and the rural population have been the main resource of the cultural expansion as well as of the economic growth of their respective countries. Because of the lakes and geographical outlook of the two both countries, the lakes and villages we can see easily all of the China and all of the India also. And we can say that majority of population is rural. Now we are, as in India, we can say that they are going to be major population of, we can say it is now we can say that that is rural and urban both. India is located at the south of Asian continent, bordering the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. The country territory is measured at nearly 3.3 million square kilometers. The country's territory, you can think about here that the country's territory is measured at nearly 3.3 million square kilometers. In the brackets, 1.3 million square miles, we can say, extending from the snow-capped Himalayan mountains in the north to tropical forest in south. India shares more than 14,000 kilometers, 8,800 miles of borders with the seven neighboring countries. To the northwest are Afghanistan and Pakistan. To the north are China, Bhutan, and Nepal. And to the east are Burma, also known as Myanmar, and Bangladesh. Um, my dear students, you have to be clear about that too. That are this India, how many borders the India touches, and how many kilometers, and which is who are the neighboring countries of our. And again, I am repeating here that to the northwest are Afghanistan and Pakistan, seven neighboring countries we have. From the starting northwest are Afghanistan and Pakistan. From your north and west, you can see there is Afghanistan and Pakistan. If you can't understand, you can put your map in front of you, and you can see that what I want to tell you, that northwest is Afghanistan and Pakistan, and to the north, proper north, are China, Bhutan, and Nepal. We are saying here proper north are China, Bhutan, and Nepal, and to the east are Burma. East, I am saying here east. East are Burma, and that is also known as Myanmar and Bangladesh. This is in the east. The gross domestic product (GDP) in India expanded at an annual rate of 8.80% in the last reported quarter. If we say that what is the GDP of that country, GDP, the full form is gross domestic product, is now we can say it is expanding at an annual rate of 8.80%. And in the last reported quarter, current population of India in 2010, as you know, the population of India in 2010 is around 1,150,000,000 billion people. Currently, India is second largest country in the world after China in terms of population. Currently, India is the second largest country in the world. That is not a good remark of our Indians, because largest country in population is not a very good symptoms of the for the upgoing for the search of developed country. If we want to become the developed country, we can say that we have to reduce a population, and we have to make for better judgment of population. We have to think about, and we have to make good policies and resolutions related to that. We have to not to be good in population, we have to reduce our population. We have to make some good policies related to that government can do all of the things related to the benefit of population. Now this is all about in India and China introduction. We have discussed about here agricultural countries. They are the greater majority of population is rural, and all of the country have both of the country have villages and lakes, and a rural population have been the main resource of cultural expansion as well as the economic growth of their respective countries. Next, we have discussed here that the country's territory is measured at nearly 3.3 billion square kilometer. We can count it here, 1.3 million square miles. And we have think about we have see we can see here that the situation, the geographical situation, location of the India is related to north, west, and east. These are there are seven neighboring countries. We have discussed here the GDP is also, and we have discussed here what is our population in 2010. These are the things that we have to make sure about, that these are the main notes, key notes that we have to discuss in any introduction of the any topic. That is, we have to make the keynotes. Here, China is located at the east of the Asian continent. As we have discussed about the India, now we are going to start with China. That what is the location and position of China in Asian continent? On the western shore of the Pacific Ocean, bordering the East China Sea, Korea Bay, Yellow Sea, and South China Sea. It covers an area of about 9.6 million square kilometers. As we are aware here that China is also located in Asian continent on the western shore of the Pacific Ocean, bordering the East China Sea, Korea Bay, Yellow Sea, and South China Sea. It covers an area of 9.6 million square kilometers. China is the third largest country in the world. Third largest country in the world after Russia and Canada. The China gross GDP, we can say gross domestic product is worth $4909 billion or 7.92% of the world economy. According to the World Bank, just over 1.3 billion people. China is the largest country entirely in the Asia. And this is also a good thing that China is the largest country entirely in the Asia. China is the world's most populous country. China is bordered by the Korea to the east, Mongolia to the north, Russia to the northeast, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Sikkim, and Bhutan to the west and southwest, and Myanmar, the Laos, and Vietnam to the south. Now you can say that China also surrounded by the borders of many countries that is related to the neighboring countries. So this is here world most populated country is China. Largest country entirely in Asia. China is bordered by the Korea to the east. East is Korea. North is Mongolia. Northeast is Russia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Sikkim, and Bhutan. And west is Myanmar. And west and southwest is Myanmar, Laos, and Vietnam. These are the surroundings of China by many countries that are related to, we can say, their neighboring countries. India-China relations has a long history. Yes, this is true here, and we can say that India-China relations has a long history, which was seen both ups and downs during these last 6 decades. The relations between late 50s and early 80s were so due to circumstances leading to the War of 1962. What we are saying here that ups and downs during the last 6 decades, the relation of India and China. So due to in the 50s and early 80s, not too much good relations because of leading the war of 1962, which led to a serious setback in bilateral relations. Nevertheless, India-China restored ambassadorial relations in 1976. And again, India and China started the ambassadorial relations in 1976. In this backdrop, it is essential to know the various to the and fro visit of premiers and other high-level dignitaries of both the countries. What they have to do, what they have done at this time in 1976, they have high-level dignitaries visited to both of the countries. In 1979, the External Affairs Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee made a path-breaking visit to China, which lead to the renewal of contacts at the highest political level after 2 decades. What we have started by the ambassadorial relations for doing this, for making the strong relations in 1976, Atal Bihari Vajpayee have started a path-breaking visit to China, and by this the highest political level after 2 decades. Second point is here: China's Foreign Minister Hyung Hao made a return visit to India in 1981. As we are here discussing the relations related to the 1962 that has been disturbed, and in 50s and early 80s that was not good relations of India and China. But after that, India and China has started again. Indian Foreign Minister Atal, External Affairs Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and after that, Foreign Minister Hua made a return visit to India in 1981. The visit of PM Rajiv Gandhi to China in December 1988 was a landmark in India-China relations. Our PM Rajiv Gandhi has also visited to China in 1988. It led the way for resumption of political dialogue at the highest level between the two countries after a gap of almost 28 years. Now we can say that when our Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi has visited to China, after 28 years, that was a good political dialogue at the highest level between the two countries, because they have made a good remark related to that the relations of the countries should be good. During this visit, both sides agreed to develop and expand bilateral relations in every field. It was also agreed to establish a joint working group on the boundary questions to seek a fair, reasonable, mutually acceptable solutions. It was also agreed to establish a joint working group on the boundary question to seek a fair, reasonable, mutually acceptable solutions. What they have done there, that to their visit has given a good joint working group related to fair, reasonable, and mutually acceptable solutions for the bilateral relations. This is India-China relations has a long history, and this is related to that what we have done after the 50s and 80s. That was not good year for both of the countries. After that, India and China dignitaries has visited both of the countries and make a good remark related to the for making the good relations. Good relations. In past, China-India relations was very good. Besides the border issue, the joint economic group on economic commercial issue, there are bilateral exchange in science and technology, outer space, mining, audit, defense, personnel and culture. Joint economy, on which ground the joint economic group has been started. These are bilateral exchange in science and technology, outer space, mining, audit, defense, personnel and culture. On which grounds? Bilateral exchange, this was science and technology, outer space, in mining sector, in mining, audit sector, defense sector, and personnel and culture. Premier Li Peng visited in India in December 1991. Prime Minister Narasimha Rao visited China in September 1993. This has started that the after the 76, that the dignitaries of and Indian and China leaders has visited uh, again and again to China India. President Jiang Jamin's state visit to India in November 1996 was the first by Chinese head of state. During his visit, the two countries agreed to work towards a constructive and cooperative relationship while continuing to address outstanding differences. What has been remarked here that in 1996, the first Chinese head of state, that is Jiang Jamin's, visited. What they have done, they agreed to work towards a constructive and cooperative relationship while continuing to address outstanding differences. They have again started that they will do the work with the cooperation, and the constructive decisions will be come out after, while continuing to the address of outstanding, that there are differences in the policies in the construction of all of the policies, but beyond that our relationship will be remain good. Four agreements were signed off, of which the most important was one of the confidence building measure in the military field along the LAC in the India China border area was signed along with other agreements. That is four agreement. There are four agreement we are saying here. Four agreement has been signed, of which the most important was one of the confidence building measure in the military field along the LAC in the India-China border. Area was signed along with other agreements. This is all about that what we have done and the both countries has done for making the good relations of each other, uh, from starting joint economic group, economic and commercial on the on for solving the economic and commercial issues has been built up. There are bilateral exchange inside bilateral exchange. This is a good word here used. Bilateral exchange in which grounds, in which sectors? This is science and technology, outer space, mining, audit, defense, and personnel and culture. The main person there, the leader, the Premier Li Peng visited in India 1991. In 1993, our Prime Minister Narasimha Rao also visited. President Jiang Jamin also visited in India 1996, and they have make the constructive and cooperative relations. They agreed to work on the ground of Chinese head of state. During his visit, the two countries agreed to work towards a constructive and cooperative relationship. And after that, the four agreements were also signed off. That was related to the confidence building measures in military field along the LAC. The India-China borders area was signed along with other agreements. India-China and economic comparison. There are the word that what economic comparisons. What type of economic comparison has been made with the India and China, with each other? India and China are the world next major powers. And in global economy affected by the financial crisis, where most advanced countries are slumped into recession. Here we can say that affected the financial crisis, both of the countries. Most advanced countries are slumped into recession. India and China are growing. India and China has it statically compared the economics and industries between these two countries. Both the countries have an important role to play in the world economy, with China embarrassing private entrepreneurship and India facilitating globalization within its economy. If we want to see here that what type of economic comparison is here, there is economic comparison related to that important role play in the world economy. China embracing private entrepreneurship and India facilitating globalization with its economy. GDP India versus GDP China. If we want to measure the economic countdown and what is the GDP of both countries, that is, we have to do this. GDP is here. The growth rate in GDP India versus GDP China has increased outstandingly in the recent period due to several factors leading to the economic upsurge in both the countries. Countries to a survey report on the growth rate of China and in India GDP. As how on which ground we can say that this growth rate is clear and confirmed because of on the ground of the survey report that has been taken by the countries that related to economic growth rate. It has been stated that the institutional investors have made a notable contribution in the country economy, which led to the hike in the GDP of both the countries. India GDP and China GDP are likely to grow in their ways. It has been reported by a survey done on GDP, India versus GDP, China, that India's GDP is 4 trillion, whereas China's GDP is 10 trillion. As per the post-war history of economics, China's economy has undergone a drastic change with 7% increase in its GDP. The infrastructural development in China has also been quite higher than that of India, which has added to the growth of China GDP. It is assumed that by the year 2050, both India GDP and China GDP will witness growth. The current GDP of China is USD 2 trillion, which is predicted to reach USD 48.6 trillion by 2050. Expected GDP has to be assumed that India's GDP is current GDP is 1 trillion and it is expected that it will be USD become 27 trillion by the time. And we can say the current GDP of China of USD 2 trillion, which is predicted to reach USD 48.6 trillion by 2050. So this is all about that GDP of India and GDP of China. Geography. India's exports fast expanding but still equivalent to 13% of the China and 16% of Asian in 2005. What is the basis of that? India's exports fast expanded but still equivalent to 13% of China and 16% of Asian in 2005. China export surge, huge but fast paced developments in China. And India also embedding a vast import demand. The ratio of trade to GDP had been low in China, 31% in 1990, and India 13%. China ratio more than doubled to 64% in 2005. A high proportion of a large economy. India's ratio stood at 30%. The corresponding ratios for traded good and services were 38 and 57% respectively. Here, the corresponding ratio of trade good and services is 38 and 57% respectively. About the GDP, and we have discussed about the geography, GDP, geography, location, comparison. Now we are here with this population. Indian population currently numbers over 1.5 billion people. figure which comprises more than 70% of the Earth's total population. While the country's population was only 5 million when it first won its independence from Great Britain. At the time of when we have got the independence, this was 5 million population of India was. If it had managed to triple in only 60 years, triple in 60 years, it has tripled. China's population was paced at only 563 million in 1950, making China the most heavily populated country in the world. Most heavily populated country. In fact, China's population comprises 20% of the world total population, which means that one in every five people on the planet is Chinese. You have to understand here that one in every five people on the planet is Chinese. History of trade between India and China. Which type of trade has to be understood here? Which type of trade has to be done as they have made the trade confirmed? That is India and China from 206 BC to 220 AD. Slaves, silks were some of the goods. What type of trade has been done between this time 206 BC to 220 AD? We can say slaves. This is most important thing you have to see here, that which type of trade they are doing here. They are trading the slaves, exchanging the slaves. They are doing the business on the upon the slaves. Silk, satin, spices, medicines, jewels, glassware, were some of the goods. These are the goods on which ground the trade has been done between the India and China. Sino border in Sino-Indian border conflict. Sino-Indian War was a war between China and India that occurred in 1962. There is a great day, we can say 1962. In this year, the war has been started. The Chinese launched simultaneous offensive in Ladakh and across the McMahon Line on 20 October 1962. This is the day 20 October 1962 that has been started the war. Sino-Indian War is notable for the harsh conditions under which much of disputes took places, entailing large-scale combat at altitudes of over 4.250 meters, under which much of the disputes took place, entailing large-scale combat at altitudes of over 4.250 meters, that is 14,000 feet. The Sino-Indian War was also noted by the non-deployment of the Navy or Air Force by either the China and Indian sides. As we can see here, not the Navy, not the Air Force has been engaged non-deployment in this war. And what result has been seen? China's military victory. There were no proper relations between India and China till 1993. After this year, this is 1962, until this date, 1993, there was no proper relations between India and China because there was a very large scale war has been done, and this is Ladakh and across the McMahon Line on 20th October 1962. After that, the relations has been stopped due to the bad behavior of and the war can be seen. The war can be seen that this is the not a good relations can be seen because of the war has done has created a very very bad circumstances with each other countries. Diplomatic process. In 1993 and 1996, the two sides signed off the Indo-Sino-Indian bilateral peace and tranquility accords, an agreement of maintain peace and tranquility along with the line of K.R. Narayanan visited to China in 2000 marked a gradual re-engagement of Indian and Chinese diplomacy. Mr. K.R. Narayanan visit to India 2000 marked in India 2000 year 2000 and marked a gradual re-engagement of Indian and Chinese diplomacy. In 2003, China officially recognized India's sovereignty over Sikkim as two nations moved toward resolving their border disputes. In April 2005, China's Premier Minister Wang Jiabao visited Bangalore to push for increased Sino-Indian cooperation in high-tech industries. What was happening here that the both of the countries, the India has started a good for making a good relations with the China, and China is also supporting to do the same. So in 2003, in 2000, and from starting 1962 to 1993, there was not any type of relations and trade has been done between both of the countries. And after that, Mr. K.R. Narayanan visited to China 2000 in 2000 in year 2000, and they have started a gradual re-engagement of India and China's diplomacy. And again, 2003, China officially recognized India's sovereignty over Sikkim. India over Sikkim as the two nations moved towards resolving their border disputes. April 2005, Chinese Premier Mr. Jiabo visited Bangalore to push for increased Sino-Indian cooperation in high-tech industries. On July 6, 2006, China Silk Route. July 6, 2006, China and India reopened Nathula, an ancient trade route was the part of the Silk Route. Asian Development Bank in 2008, formally acknowledging Arunachal Pradesh as the part of India, approved a loan to India for a development project there. And Asian Development in 2008, acknowledging Arunachal Pradesh as a part of India, approved a loan to India for a development project there. Now we are coming on a topic here, the cultural relation. Which type of relations? Cultural relations. What is the type of have remained? The cultural relations. Shri Ashok Chakravarti, the cultural wing dance teacher, conducted a short-term Indian dance workshop for the dance teacher at a local private dance school. The annual meet of the India-China Friendship Association was held in Beijing on January 14. The theme of the meet was Year of the Tiger, China's endangered predator. The theme of the meet was Year of the Tiger. A memorandum of understanding was signed in Beijing on the 16th April 2009 by the government of India, China, on the Festival of India. The new cultural information wing of the mission began functioning during 2008. What is happening here? The memorandum of understanding signed there in Beijing 16 April 2009, and Festival of China and Festival of India has been conducted in 2010 The festival will be cultural events which will seek to promote mutual awareness and understanding of the rich cultural heritage of each country. This is to be seen here that the festival will be cultural event which will seek to promote mutual awareness and understanding of the rich cultural heritage of each country. It will help to support the cultural upliftment of the persons each other because of everybody will be aware the cultural events and culture outlook all of this and by this the India China relationship friendship was held in Beijing on January 2010 on January 14. What type of relations we are going to start, that is educational relations, medical feat Fiat. Indian doctors made in China. Thousands of made in China Indian doctors hopefully enrolled in China's medical universities eager to take advantage of this deal, which seemed to be good to be true and as they are finding out might actually be for making the educational relations. Diplomats say that easy admission system, affordable fees, and high standard of facilities are the chief attraction of Indian students, who now number more than 6,000 all over China. As there are many diplomats, according to diplomats, say that easy admission. What is happening here for the education relations? 6,000 all over China, and Indian student has been enrolled, and they have facilitated by the easy admission system. Tuition fees China's medical universities is this. Another is needed for board and lodging. There is a fourth of what one would spend in India. China scholarship for Indian students with work experience. Some of the top Chinese universities for Indians are Yuan University, Xiamen University, Shenzhen University, and Harbin Engineering University. These are the good university that has been the student have been engaged in all of the for getting the China's scholarship for a good educational relations. Economic growth and global integration. If the both countries want to increase the growth and global integration, they have to engage in all of these activities. They have been engaged. The four novel truths of the new millennium. Goods. What type of goods should be there for the novel truths of the new millennium? Goods, intra-industry trade and value-added agriculture. Services and knowledge industries, that is IT, ITS, professional services, and biotech and tourism. Foreign direct investment, technology, moving up the value chain in the global production processes. In India, in brief, population estimation is this 2010 1.184681,000, and GDP is, we can say, 3.56 trillion total. Main export partners: US, UAE, China. Main import partners: China, Saudi Arabia, US, UAE, Iran, Singapore, Germany. These are the main importers. Main industries: telecommunications. What are the main industries there? Telecommunications, textiles, chemicals, food processing, steel, transportation, equipment, cement, mining, petroleum, machinery, information technology. These are the main industries that is related to for the global integration and economic growth. As usually, India-China trade relations. Which type of trade relations has been seen? According to the statistics of the China's Customs Head Office, Bilateral trade reached 18.7 billion in 2005 and in 2006 and 28 billion in 2009. India and China are directly competing across several product categories. Recently, Chinese Premier Wang Jiabao visited India, where he said that India and China must take their trade to this billion to level to 2010. Iron ore constitutes about 53% of India's total exports to China. Among the potential exports to China, marine products, oilseeds, salt, inorganic chemicals, plastic, rubber, optical and medical equipment, and dairy products are the important ones. Chinese exports to India, especially machinery, including electrical machinery, which together constitute about 36% of the export from the country. These are we are discussing here India-China trade relations. The top 15 Chinese exports in India have recorded growth between 29% organic chemicals and 2.989% iron and steel. Chinese exports to India, especially machinery, including electrical machinery, India have recorded growth between 29 chemicals and 21989 iron and steel. BTA, bilateral trade or clearing trade, is trade exclusively between two states, particularly barter trade based on the bilateral deals between governments. And without using hard currency for payment, bilateral trade agreements after often aim to keep trade deficits at minimum by keeping a clearing account where deficit would accumulate. Bilateral investments are not encouraging either, with investments by either side being million 30 to 40 million annually. India and China have stepped up functional cooperation, and there is also close cooperation in areas as diverse as culture, trade and economy, water resources, audit, personnel, mining, space, science and technology. The science and technology relations between India and China functions within the overall ambit of the Agreement on Cooperation in Science and Technology, signed between Ministry of Science and Technology. As we are discussing here, the relations between the BTA and the science and technology, these are the main ambit of agreement on cooperation of science and technology, signed between the Department of Science and Technology, the PRC Ministry of Science and Technology. China Eastern Airlines commenced direct air services between Beijing, Shanghai, and New Delhi in March 2002. Air India started operations to China in December 2003. This we can say these are the relations that is upgoing and giving a good sign that the China and India relations can be carried in a good manner. Free trade agreement. Free trade agreement. This is main thing has to be signed here. That is free trade agreement. Open regionalism and trade cooperation between the world's two largest developing countries, the People's Republic of China and India, can foster outward-oriented development and intra-regional trade based on comparative advantage and available factors in domains. India and China have formally launched talks to study of feasibility of signing a bilateral free trade agreement (FTA) as well as comprehensive economic cooperation agreement (CECA) to cement their booming commercial ties. What we are doing here, these are the People's Republic of China. This is open regional trade cooperation between the world two largest developing countries. What they have done, that they have started the free trade agreement. Bilateral, they have signed a free trade agreement, bilateral agreement, and this as well as a comprehensive economic cooperation agreement to cement their booming commercial ties. To cement, the two countries can increase bilateral trades with FTA countries increased by 650 over the past 5 years. Bilateral trade can touch a staggering $130 billion by 2015. Now we are discussing here what type of free trade agreement that India and China has started. These are the new notes you can do related to People's Republic of China and this CECA. This is CECA what? Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement related to India and China relations, and then next is FTA, that is related to Free Trade Agreement. The India and China have formally launched talks to study the feasibility. What they have done, the feasibility of signing a bilateral free trade agreement. This is related that what type of positions can be related for making a strong relations between two countries. This is related to increased bilateral trades by the FTA many times in 2004, and the bilateral trade between the two countries increased by 650% over the past 5 years. Again, China is pushing for a free trade agreement with India, which will create the biggest free trade region in the world. After we can say that, what we can say that what is the situation, what is the relation between two countries, the post-COVID world, after the post-COVID world. This is the very vast scenario. We have seen that the post-COVID world, what we can see after that. Both of the countries, what has done for the making the benefit and making the progressive outlook for the world. Though we can say that here, the world has entered a period of turmoil and change, unilateralism, protectionism, and hegemonism. These are the words that used to be, because these are the requirement, pose a threat to world peace and development. In China's development will face more headwinds. More importantly, we should see that time and the momentum are on our side, which is there where our determination and confidence lies. The fundamentals of China's long-term economic improvement have not changed, and external shocks will only force us to accelerate the pace of reform and innovation. So this is thing that what will be the scene after the China's development outlook related to strong relations with India have not changed here. We can see that not too much change, and external shocks always they have to give to accelerate the pace of reform and innovation. Post-COVID world leadership worldview. China is a major power. This is to be seen as in a strong manner that what we can see here, China is a major power, indispensable economic partner, pre-descendant change underway, balance of power shifting to the east. What is happening now? Window of strategic opportunities persist, and emphasis on technological advancement, self-reliance. If we say here what a little bit should be signed here and looked here, post-COVID world from the Chinese perspective, the US never given up its intent to overthrow the socialist system led by the Communist Party of China. Lately, the China rhetoric from US authorities has even sought to separate the CPC from the China's people and pit them against each other, and to challenge the basic legitimacy of the CPC. After that, Chinese political system. The Chinese side has no choice but to fight. That these are the statement has said by the F. Yuang Vitarian about us in front of all of the countries that what they have done. For today, this is too much for now, and for now, that is Namaste and Jai Hind.